Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of For Unlawful Cinematic Knowledge, the Fuck Podcast. I am your host, Kolleen Carney Hoepfner, contributing editor for Fangoria and Southern California Convention Booth Babe. I'm also the former EIC of Drunk Monkeys and the co-host of the Drunk Monkeys Logcasting, which should be coming back very soon. With me today is Dan Davis, a movie pal of mine from here in California. Dan is an assistant editor and Gleaming the Cube enthusiast, living the sweet life in Southern California's beautiful San Fernando Valley. Thank you so much for being here today, Dan. I could not think of a better person to be talking about 2002's Horror by Dante Tomaselli.
Yes. I've been having a hard time with this one because I wish I could sort of respect what this movie is a little bit more. Like on some level, um I'm just launching right into it. On some level
And I'm
he's really trying. Like there is a degree of ambition. He's doing a lot with, you know, very little money, probably like his parents' house and a friend's house and whatever
Every
abandoned
movie is
property.
a miracle.
Every movie is a miracle. Um, but I've seen a lot. I very purposefully, after the first time I watched this and was just so bewildered by it, I decided that this time I was going to go into it with the context of having watched um a lot of like surrealist stuff. Like I watched an Andalusian Dog again just to be like, okay, this is a great example of how this is supposed to work.
Right.
What's happening here that's not happening in horror?
Am I to understand that you have a viewing list that you will share with the class? Is that what you
Yeah.
told me last night? All
Yeah,
right.
no. I
Before we get
do.
super into it, though, let's talk about like the origin of us seeing this because I think that's important before getting into the minutia of like what this movie is doing. So,
The origin of us seeing this is you being like, "Hey Dan, you should watch this weird movie." And I'm
right.
like, "Sure."
Okay, so the way I first saw this was like back in 2006. I was seeing this guy. Hi, Kevin. I hope you're listening. And were, he was like, okay, I'm bringing over a movie to watch. Okay, that's it. And he brought over this. And I have watched some very strange movies with Kevin. But this is the one that, like, when I think of him, I think of this movie. And I do have the DVD with me. And it's got this like goat in a priest outfit on the cover, and it just says horror. Now, 2006, a lot of the internet was still in its infancy, but naming your horror movie horror is really not great because then you look up like horror movie and it's just like, yeah, okay, horror movies, right? So I remember watching this with him and being like, this movie fucking sucks, dude. Like, what is happening? Right. But then I became just so obsessed with it because one, nobody's ever seen it. Like, no one knows what I'm talking about when I talk about Dante Tomaselli's horror. Two, I've seen this movie probably more than most people have seen. And once they get out of their van, which we'll talk about the plot in a minute, it all just washes over me in a way that it's like it's just so hard for me to remember anything about it. So
I, I
then
agree.
a
Yeah.
few years ago, we were doing this thing where we were watching bad horror movies on Halloween. Not so good, they're bad. Bad. And I was like, well, I want to watch horror. Well, here's the thing, I don't want to pay for horror. So I'm like, well, maybe I can find it. No, you can't even bootleg this movie. I had to buy this on eBay for like $12.
That's not bad for
This movie owes me like $100 at this point. So now I own it, which is kind of nice. And then, you and I became friends and I mentioned it to you. So,
No, I was very purposefully looking because this relates to I make a big list of horror movies every year that I start in August and finish November 1st. And I like to end on it can be a so bad it's good, but it just needs to be a movie that like doesn't really work or something like it's kind of it's my equivalent to like Jewish weddings. You break the glass to remind you of like I don't know what pain and suffering in the world, destruction of the temple, all that stuff. So it's my way of being like I've had a lovely 3 months of watching nothing but horror movies. Now it's time to ruin that a little.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was your suggestion, and I think what's great about you put this on a live stream, and I was late to the live stream. I was
Oh
late
yeah,
to
that's right. I
watching this.
forgot about that.
I showed up, and it was like 30 minutes in, and this is
Into an hour and 15-minute long movie.
not a long movie, and I expected to be like a little lost, but that you couldn't even explain to me like what I had missed out on. And so it was technically the last thing I saw, but I didn't get back to finishing it until a week later, and I watched the top half of the movie like and then all the way through, and I was just like I couldn't tell you I couldn't
Couldn't
tell
tell
you
you
what's
anything
happening.
about it. Yeah. I mean, there's like a vague sense of what's happening, but like it makes no sense. And it's so funny because when you look at like the review, so there's not a lot of information about this movie out there. Um, so 2002 horror film by Dante Tomaselli. Now, Dante Tomaselli is an Italian American film director, screenwriter, and score composer, and even his Wikipedia is very scant.
I
Known
was about
for
to say I'm
his,
looking at it too.
yeah,
Yeah.
known for his unique and eccentric work in the horror genre. He was named one of FearNet's favorite underrated horror directors in 2013. And it's like, okay, and then there's like this little bit like some critics mistakenly attribute Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci as a direct influence on Tomaselli, but he has stated that he did not view those directors' films until his early 20s. So it's like, okay, like it's very much like I wrote my own Wikipedia thing. But then even so 77 minutes 2002, I like the fact that Kreskin is in this movie because if people don't know Kreskin, the amazing Kreskin, he was like a mentalist on television back in the day, and there's a bit on The Simpsons where I think like Bart's like, "Hey, have you seen my like whatever, like my baseball?" And Homer's like, "What am I, Kreskin?" And I say that all the time. Like if Aiden, my son Aiden, asks me something, I go, "What am I, Kreskin?" And he fucking hates it. He hates when I say that. And so like I don't know, Kreskin being in this is very funny to me. But the plot summary on Wikipedia is doing more for the movie than the movie. A gang of teens escape a drug rehabilitation hospital after committing murder and grand theft auto, led by a man named Luck, Danny Lopez.
Hmm.
They drive to a rendezvous point with the demented Reverend Salo, that's Kreskin, and his depraved wife. And this is not even right because Kreskin's not really the Reverend like it's like the
No, yeah,
son.
this
Okay,
isn't.
there's a son.
Yeah.
Then it's and his depraved wife and their daughter Grace, who is a gunwo GUNWO addicted slave. What the fuck does gunwo mean? I don't know. I looked up gunwo drug. I looked up gun. Like there's nothing. Like
It's
that's not a thing.
I think the biggest problem is that I don't think you can actually describe this plot. And I'm not saying that as
Well,
like
I'm not.
a
There's one more
yeah.
line. There's one more.
Okay.
When the teens show up, they encounter demonic entities. That's
Uh
like not even. They don't commit Grand Theft Auto. They very plainly state that it's one of their vans. There's a
it's
whole
their
plot
van.
point around it.
They committed a murder. I guess he robbed the building, but like the problem is that um that's almost a description that's too focused on any of this actually happening.
Yeah,
And I don't know that it does, even the logic of the movie kind of dictates that like not necessarily like this is all a dream, but like, actively uh step out of reality for this one. It's asking a lot more of its audience than to follow a plot,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a shocking amount of plot that they're putting on top of it, and he has not made it easy to pick apart.
No.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the edit. Like, and I don't just mean that it's disjointed. I mean, like, literally, you can't follow what's happening
No,
scene to scene because he's not letting you connect things.
no, it's
Yeah.
awful. It's awful. I'm obsessed with it. I said today, I was like, this movie is bullshit. I am obsessed with it. I love it because it's just so stupid. Like it makes no sense. Definitely the front half of the movie. Well, I wouldn't even say half. Like definitely the front like 10 to 15 minutes of the movie is the stuff that makes sort of the most sense, right? We have this girl hanging up Christmas lights. It definitely earned my unlikely Christmas movie tag on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there's some wreaths on the door, right?
yeah, like she's hanging up
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lights. There's a goat. She gets scared by the goat. She runs into the house, like
One of
whatever.
the scariest parts of that movie is right up top, which is that fucking ladder that she's on.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like Jesus Christ. Uh and it's funny too because like she's like she like burns her finger and it's like the most over the top like burn makeup on her finger.
It's a horrific like third degree like
Yeah,
full blisters.
but like those old lights are like that. So they are like fire hazards. But yeah, and she runs in and there's this goat, like whatever. But then it cuts to like these kids, right? So there's these like Luck and his friends, and I didn't even bother fucking learning what the other friend's names is. And I'm not going to IMDb for it. It's truly not important. But it's like him is so Luck and he like shoots a security guard and runs out and they're like waiting for a minivan and it's supposed to be some drug rehabilitation hospital. It's very clearly a school.
You're right.
Like anyway, but he runs out into the van and he drives the van, which I think is funny. He's like, "Let me in so I could drive away." Like that's not practical. But it's him, two other guys, and two women. The
Yes.
blonde and the brown-haired woman. Anyway, very early 2000s. Like the thin eyebrows. I'm like, oof, this is
Oh
like,
no, no, I had that same thought when I was because I kind of skipped through it this morning. I watched it a few days ago, and I think I've been putting so many better movies that
yeah.
are similar to this in my head that it wiped out all of this
Your
shit.
brain's like, let me think about Suspiria instead.
Well,
It's,
no, I did because Inferno I think is actually a little bit closer in
yeah,
terms of like
actually, I agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Here's the thing. I had texted you this morning. I had to finish it this morning because I was watching it last night and kept falling asleep. And then I was like, I can't. Like there was only like 20 minutes left, but I was like, I cannot do it. I have to go to bed. But here's the thing. Even this morning, I kept like losing focus, and I was like, oh, did I miss something? Backing it up, and then I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything at all. Actually, this is just the way this movie is. It's like I want my brain so wants it to be more than what it is that it's like you're missing important plot points. No, I'm not.
Well, here's what I'll say. There's as far as like set pieces go, there's the school hospital, which I do think the grandfather mentions that it's like, oh, they want to send you to that special school, and she's like, but I'm not on drugs.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
But they're definitely framing it as like it's a rehab, you know what I mean? Which is not a
right.
school. So those are two different things, Dante.
But it's so there's this potential duality of there's these kids, teens, let's just they're all adults. Everyone in it is an adult. Describing them as teens feels very weird.
They're all clearly 24.
Yeah, they're all clearly in their mid 20s. So he shot a guy, they rob the place, they get into the van and they go. There is some kind of loop that's happening where it's looping back to him going back to killing that security guard. She is simultaneously trapped in this rehab school and also trapped in a nightmare version of her home with their parents. But both of those things are happening both in flashbacks and at the same time,
Yeah.
according to what's happening, because it's both like it's kind
Yeah.
of got forward momentum, but it's clearly digging back to stuff, but it's also um
There's like flashbacks that are not presented as flashbacks. I'm like, did that just happen? Or was that like before? And then the next scene is like, oh no, that was like a flashback.
yeah.
But
Okay.
like, I don't need them to do the Wayne's World, like, ooh, like,
I know.
flashback,
Yeah.
but like something grounding anything that's happening here
Even
would be helpful.
even in Inferno, they do the whole like, several months ago, right now. Like he
Yeah.
does do those cards, but I'm gonna throw this out there. Before we talk any more about the movie, I do want to talk about dreams because I think that that's a little bit more important to figuring out why this doesn't work.
Okay.
So, you know what, just because you posted about it this morning, you had a dream last night.
Oh yeah, I had a dream. Yeah, this like jolted me awake too. I didn't write the whole dream out, but basically I was back home in
Okay.
Massachusetts, and first I found out that a kid named Nick that I've been friends with my whole life, like we don't talk much anymore, but like, I grew up with him because my parents and his parents were friends. Um, I had a dream that like I found out he was dead, and his cousin was like, "I'll give you like a thumb drive with all these pictures of you and him." And I was like, "Oh, that would be like really nice. Like, I'd like to have that because I don't have any pictures of us." And then I was at a high school reunion, and this kid that I was like absolutely in love with in high school, like just absolutely adored, that I have not seen since probably 2001. Uh, I I was with him, and he was like a men's rights activist. So he was basically like berating me and being super misogynistic. And it was so upsetting because like, like this is someone I do not have contact with anymore. He's out there living his life. And I don't really think about him too much. Like, every once in a while I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of Paul. His name is Paul. And I was so upset by it. And I woke up, like I jolted awake and I was like, oh no, Paul, because he was just so sweet.
Right.
And then I was like, why the fuck am I dreaming about high school? Like,
Right.
I would not go to a high school reunion. Like, I'm putting it out there now. I'm not going to one. We already had our 20 year. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to a 30 year. I'm not doing it. So like, why is it's Paul in my dream? You know what I mean? Or why was Nick? Like it
Right.
was just a very odd, but my dreams tend to be sort of realistic. Like all of that could have happened. It's not just like I have a lot of dreams where I move into a dorm again and I'm like,
Okay.
but I have children. Like
No,
I have an established life. Why am I
right.
moving
Your
into a
your
dorm?
brain's trying to lay
Like
something out.
reason.
It's
Yeah.
using all these images that you have that either like brought you specific stress or joy and
Yeah.
trying to build something out of it. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
don't
enough
know.
about it's just basing it on how my dreams work. I understand that. I
Right,
I
right.
do
It
wish
was
I
very
actually understood the
strange.
psychology of this more, but no, I mean, I think that like because I think about I have a lot of recurring dreams that involve like me going to movie theaters, which I know is
That tracks.
uh but it's like I'll go to a movie theater and it'll always be like a little hard to watch the movie. Like the lights will be up or like someone will be talking, the movie will be playing too quiet. The theater is designed in a way where the seats are not facing the screen. Like it's a lot of that stuff. So I don't know. The biggest thing I think about with dreams is like how the momentum of a dream works. You don't necessarily understand how you're connecting one scene to the next in your head. You just know that like this is all a linear path.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that dreams aren't disjointed. I'm acknowledging that. I'm saying the way they're disjointed is always moving forward. And I think that this movie is trying to hold on to the image association of dream logic, but it's not holding on to the forward momentum in a way that really tracks.
I agree with that. I feel like this movie would be so much better if it was just like vibes the movie.
Yeah.
Like and there wasn't anything like rooting and like it would be odd and it wouldn't be for anybody for everybody, but it would be like, like why I don't want to say Skinamarink was like that because Skinamarink did have like a it's it's in there somewhere, but there is sort of a
It,
forward
it
momentum
it
to
it
it.
has a
But
plot, but the plot is the children's plot, and that's a really
yeah,
important thing. Lisa and the Devil, which I also rewatched for this, has a similar thing where like there are other side characters and stuff, but it's all about like Lisa keeps got trapped in this, and it just keeps going
yeah,
forward.
like the vibe, like if it was just vibes, it would be like, okay, well, there's not much there, but at least it's like kind of an esoteric cool sort of thing. But this is trying to rely on the plot too much, and there's not enough plot. So I do want to talk about this van scene because,
Yes.
and it's funny because I said right before we started recording that this movie doesn't give us a lot to talk about, and in that sense gives us a lot to talk about. It's like a very weird little thing, but this van scene is the thing that has stuck with me the most, and I think it's because it's the most rooted in like logic. Like, okay, they just like killed somebody and escaped from this place, and now they're driving away. Like, that makes sense, right?
Right.
So this van scene kills me because they're all in this van. As I said, the guy who like shot the dude is the get. It's like they're picking him up, but he's the getaway driver. That seems weird. And there's this amazing line where he's like, "I sacrificed my life for our freedom." And then the girl's like, "This is like John's van. He sacrificed his life
No,
for
no, no.
our freedom."
It's better yet. It's why am I forgetting what are the members of Scooby-Doo? Uh
Oh, like Fred, Wilma. I mean, not
she
Wilma, Fred.
I'm pretty sure she says it's Fred's van, which I thought like,
Okay.
oh, that's funny.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
I don't think it's intentional. I just thought that was a
Yeah.
nice match.
But yeah, she goes, "This is Fred's van. He sacrificed his life for our freedom." But she says it the same exact way he says it. So it just sounds like a line fuck up. Whereas, of course, it was supposed to be like, I
A
shot that
callback,
guy.
yeah.
And she's supposed to be like, "No, he sacrificed his life for our freedom." Right? Like, she's supposed to be like enunciating certain words to make it like, "No, you're wrong. This is what's happening." But instead, she just reads the line the same exact way. And it's so fucking stupid. These are all like just people Dante must have known. These are not like established
No,
actors, which is
and
fine. I was in a Blair Witch parody when I was,
right.
18. That's fine. But then they say, and this is the part that I always tell everyone when I talk about this movie, which I do talk about this movie more than probably anyone in the world does. They're like, this
Yes.
preacher came and it spoke to us yesterday, and then he gave us all these drugs at the drug rehabilitation hospital, and he's like, he gave us these mushrooms, let's do them. They are very clearly like cremini mushrooms from
Just
like
like
Whole Foods.
dried, yeah.
Yeah, they're not even like remotely like dried in the sense that like mushrooms should be dried. Like, they are like, they left them on the counter for like 6 hours before they filmed this. They are very clearly supermarket mushrooms. They don't even try to make them look like psychedelic mushrooms. Then they start eating them, and 4 minutes later, he's like, "Do you feel them yet?" That's not how mushrooms work. They take a while. Like, it's literally like 3.5 minutes. And he's like, "You feeling this yet, bro?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." And for
Ah,
some
you're turning
reason,
colors.
and
Sorry.
for some reason, this is the scene that I'm just like, it's like there's a goat, and then there's this scene, and then everything else washes over me in like a weird way where it's almost like I'm not even watching it at all. Like,
I think the movie's biggest problem is this van full of characters.
there's too
Like
many characters.
there's too many characters, but I mean like it's the way that they're introduced like doesn't really work. Like they're introduced as a completely separate set of characters who interact as opposed to like what I'm so okay, I'm gonna go over the list of movies that I watched just so you know what I'm
Okay,
referencing
yeah, yeah,
throughout
yeah,
yourself
yeah.
in the audience. So what it is that I really wanted to come at this with like as informative and I didn't want to just come at this and be like this movie is weird. It is, but I the first time I saw this I thought about Lisa and the Devil, so I rewatched that. Not no, I rewatched that in its entirety, and then I skimmed through The Beyond last night and Inferno, just to kind of be like, okay, how does the structure and like plot and like forward momentum of these things like actually work? And because they're both kind of dream logic-y a little bit. The Beyond, far less than I remember. That movie is shockingly linear. It's just a little bit more like, and then this happens
Yeah, 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 yeah.
with some of its stuff. Like, okay, there's no reason for her to be in the middle of the bridge. The psychic lady with the milky eyes and the dog. But no, I did that. I watched Maya Daren's Atland,
Oh, I've never seen that.
experimental short film from the 1940s. And I watched that just after I watched An Andalusian Dog, the Buñuel movie.
Yep.
because I wanted to see like what are great examples or like notable examples of kind of surrealist, either non-linear or, kind of just non-traditional filmmaking. And the biggest thing I gained from all of those is that all of those movies are far easier to understand than anyone gives them credit for.
Yeah,
Like, if you're watching an Andalusian Dog, Buñuel's actually teaching you how to watch the movie from the first scene. Like the whole thing of like, the guy is like sharpening his razor. He looks up, he looks at the moon, sees the cloud crossing the moon, and then imagines the razor blade cutting the eye. But it's telling you that like what's going on here is going to be image association.
right.
It's giving you the opening to be able to follow the logic of every time someone looks at something, it turns into another shape that's approximate. So even though a lot of people could describe it as just like, oh, like non-associated ideas, like it's no, he's constantly making you think about associations by making sure that shapes match up and certain motion matches up. Maya Daren's Atland, in a different way, is always matching the motion of what she's doing. She climbs up, she climbs up like a down tree on a beach, and when she goes over, her head goes up and over a table, and she's looking out on people at the table. But there's always a sense of like she still went up something and looked over something,
Right,
even
right.
though it's not what's supposed to be there in normal logic terms. It follows that. This movie just doesn't really have that. And so I was trying to think, it's like, okay, what are bigger, plottier examples? I'm like, Lisa and the Devil. Lisa and the Devil has side characters who have a car that breaks down and they also get stuck in the situation. But those are like people she meets along the way on the journey. By having it so that the girl in the hospital bed doesn't meet the people in the van until they also get stuck in the house, it's just like, so two separate people have and interacted in the section of hell, but technically, if she's in the hospital bed in the thing where he shot the guy, I guess they would have sort of met up at some point, but they don't tell you that. It's asking you too much,
Yeah,
and it makes it the wrong kind of disorienting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
this
it makes more sense that they're like oh, we stumbled on this farmhouse and this girl is in it. Like we don't need any of this like backtracking of like, oh, the girl was also in the hospital.
yeah,
It's
it
like
it
that doesn't make any sense.
it should have
Like,
it
what's
should have followed
happening?
one or the other a little bit more clearly. There
Yeah,
should have been someone who's a little bit more of a main character.
yeah,
By having their story arcs kind of start at different places and then finish at different places, it makes it, is this just supposed to be two surreal dream nightmare hell experiences crossing over and overlapping? Um, in which case it still makes it really distressing to follow. Because is the girl who gets electrocuted, that is the girl in the bed, right? The one who
yeah.
burns her finger in the
Grace
lights?
is her name. Yeah,
Grace.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's
if
the same girl, but it's also like okay, like
it's
what?
something about it just like doesn't really work, and
Are
especially having
those
her get
her Are those her parents? Are those people who are replacements for her parents, which is sort of towards the end of the movie? That's like what it more feels like. Like,
right.
oh, these are not actually my parents. Like, they're like, there's like the eccentric, weird, like weirdly makeup, like very weapons-esque mom. She's in bed most of the time. There's the dad,
Mhm.
not the grandfather, which Wikipedia is wrong about. There's the dad, and he's like
He's also a
this
preacher and a
he's
faith
also
healer.
a preacher. So then it's like, did he go? Was the dad the one that went to the hospital, or was it Kreskin? Because then it seems like it was Kreskin, but then it makes more sense if it was the dad because he seems like super evil. And then the Kreskin's character like is sometimes real evil feeling, but then sometimes like
Is very
Grace, I
grandfatherly and
need to like,
nurturing. Yeah.
oh, something odd is happening. And there's this whole scene with him and Grace in like his bedroom. The only jump scare of the whole movie, because I always
That's
forget
good.
about it,
Yeah.
is like her reaching under the bed, and it's not even good really in the sense because
I
it's just somebody going ugh, but like it just comes out of nowhere after like such a nothing burger movie that like, but like this whole scene with her and the grandfather, like I can't even hear half of it.
mm,
Like there, because there's like weather happening outside, right? Like lightning and but like clearly they didn't have like good mics. So she's saying something, grandpa's saying something. Then at one point grandpa's mic definitely kicks back in because I can hear him again. And I'm like, was that intentional? Probably not. They probably just didn't have good mics. But like, and there are like little nuggets of like cool imagery. Like the goat itself is the goats are fucking scary. I don't
Yes.
care. Goats are fucking horrifying. And so this goat just walking around and it's like a very it's like they went to a zoo and they were like, what is the most demonic goat you have?
Yeah.
And can I borrow it for like a week? Um
Clearly, it seemed very sweet and manageable considering they got it to go up the stairs, which,
yeah,
by the way,
there's
that
actually in the credit there's like goat wrangler or something.
God, I
Uh
love that.
yeah.
I No, I mean, well, just my favorite moment with the goat is there's that moment where it's got like the monster noise and it's like charging up the stairs, and then it cuts and it's just the goat
I love that. It
just like
keeps
stepping.
it keeps making it seem like it's rushing towards her, but whenever it shows it, it's just standing there. So it happens like four times.
They
But there's
clearly
like
just fed it. Yeah.
yeah. There's like this melting doll that's very creepy. There's these Luck like walks in on these parents with Grace, and like he sees because he's eaten all these mushrooms, these two like jack-o'-lanterns like rah, 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 rah. And I did post that in the stories for the podcast Instagram. I was like, yeesh. But like it's kind of cool, you know what I mean? Uh but like what is happening? Like they get to this house because one of them is having like a reaction to these shrooms, but
Right,
he's like,
turns
I'm
blue.
freezing to death, and
Yeah.
he's turning blue, and they're like, what's happening? And it's like like this movie washes over me so much that I couldn't tell you if we ever see that kid again.
Whatever happens to we see that kid again and he's not blue in the house. It is that the blue kid we see again over the wrapped bodies of the parents after that guy shot him in the head because he thought they were Halloween pumpkins. Um, like the fake jack-o'-lanterns you can
Yeah.
buy at TJ Maxx. Uh, but uh, but yeah, so that he's the one standing over the wrapped bodies in plastic.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think we ever see the other guy in the van ever again.
Yeah, like he's the one that's like the super stoner in the back.
Right. I think he just disappears after that scene and
Yeah.
that's it. Like both of the girls are there. That the guy who turned blue is in there.
I knew we
The
lost one person at some
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah, Luck is in there, but yeah, that guy's just gone. They never talk about him again. He went up the stairs, and that was it. No,
I was clearly falling asleep when I was writing notes because it's like hands doorway and then like I know it says Luck pukes blood on Blade, I think, well, on blonde is what it says, but like I was just like some of this stuff I don't even remember watching, like
yeah, either Marissa or Amanda.
yeah, I don't think it matters. That's why I'm like I'm not learning these people's names. It
Don't you
does not
hate it
matter.
when you're making out with the guy in the snow against an
At the
abandoned
haunted
at the
farmhouse.
haunted farmhouse on the fireplace, and then he pukes blood on you, and then a
I
goat's looking at you?
I don't I love that actually. That's my very specific kink. It's so funny too because it's like this guy's killed three people, has seen demonic demon pumpkin heads, uh, and is still horny.
Oh yeah.
God bless him. Like that's so funny. So and then there's this little girl zombie.
Hmm.
What's that all about? She just
That's
shows up, runs to the attic.
I guess maybe that's Grace. Some projection of Grace as a child is like as close as I can figure.
I think you're being too charitable.
I'm trying to be because I think he means it so much, and I know in my heart he's trying for something, and I'm just trying to connect the pieces,
I love
and
okay.
it's stressing me out.
I know it's so stressful. So there's the little girl. So I'm like speed running through this because it's like
With
it
this,
definitely reminds me of what I was viscerally reminded of last night
mm,
was in Natural Born Killers when he's doing
oh,
the
I never saw it.
interview. You never saw Natural Born Killers?
It's not going anywhere. Yeah, no, I know I need to get there.
That's crazy. Well, there's this part where he's doing you know what it's about, right?
Yes, I know what it's
Okay.
about.
So there's this part where he's doing Mickey is doing the interview with Robert Downey Jr.'s character who's like a shitty like media sensationalist, like this time on crime in America, like that kind of
Like a
thing.
Geraldo Rivera
Yeah,
kind of, but
that's
edgier. Yeah.
definitely it. Yeah, and he's talking about just stuff. And he's like, trying to connect these dots. And he's like, you know, like he's talking about his childhood and stuff, and he's like doing this with his hand, like kind of making his hand motion. He's like, like I forget exactly what he says, but I know he says Christmas hat. So he's like, he's like, little kitten, Christmas hat, like just trying to like but it's like very much it makes sense in the context of the movie because there's these like visuals happening in the back where it's like young boy in a field, like fucking like mom yelling, like laundry on the line, and it's just these like kind of visuals that you get from like childhood when you're trying to like recollect like your childhood, right? You're like, oh,
Right.
like attic, grandma at chair,
Mhm.
fireplace, like like just and it reminded me of that, like when he's like Christmas hat, like it just reminded me of that because it's just like these visuals that make no sense. Zombie girl,
Right.
painting that keeps changing. The painting that keeps changing is very fun for me. It's like this
Yes.
painting of like the dad
Or
preacher
it's
guy,
it's
and then it's
Kreskin, yeah.
yeah, but then it's like screaming,
Yeah.
and then
And
it's
then
the
it's a goat.
goat from the cover of the movie. And then it's like goes back to normal and it's just so silly. Um but yeah, like trying to speed run through like the plot of this is just so it's just like I'm giving you visuals and that's it. Painting changing,
I mean,
hidden room. And I wrote give us nothing. You know that meme that's like, yes, girl, give us nothing. Like that's this movie.
yeah. Well, again, it's trying to do these things. Whether or not Dante Tomaselli saw any of these things, he's trying to impart dream logic, but he's also trying to impart too much of what I think is a traditional like film structure. Like you can do things with like multiple plot lines in a movie that has a normal sense of plotting. When you do that in something this surreal, it just creates problems. You need to be able to follow from bit to bit to bit. And here he's just like, oh, and there's another bit going on over here. Uh, I I I don't mind like the weird like jumpy imagery and the things that punch in and the fact that they're like sudden zombies. That happens. Um, but I what I can't do is just that sudden jumpy imagery when we have to follow multiple plot lines, even when those things intersect,
Yeah.
is too much. And I also gonna throw it out there, the Kreskin bits where it's just him actually doing his mentalist stuff, those take away so much
They're so
from that.
long.
They're so long, but they're also like it's like no, but this is real mentalist stuff. We know what this is. We're watching a guy do a real thing. When we're trying to be stuck in a dream logic mode, watching a guy do his act kind of takes away from that and makes it more confusing.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost like he was like they were contractually obligated to like put Kreskin bits in, which I'm probably not too far off the beaten path to like suggest that. I did just look up that natural born killer's code because it was driving me nuts. But it's Mr. Rabbit, Christmas hat, running with the animals in the darkness. But like
Mm,
I knew it was like but like yeah, the Kreskin stuff, like he's in this congregation, and then it's like, well, is this congregation supposed to be like that mental hospital that like he was like, oh, he came and did like he spoke to us. So is that because
right.
then it's like he is kind of there, like luck is kind of there, but like not too. And he's like, get on your knees. And I'm like, this is just interminable. It does not end. And this is a movie that is not even an hour and 20 minutes long.
No, I mean this. It's look. This has at least a lot more direction and heart and thought put into it than something like The Room. But it does remind me of like how much of The Room
The
is not
room
is
is
not a
easy to
movie.
follow.
The Room's easy to follow, but also how much of The Room is just filler,
Oh
like
yeah,
in
there's like
between.
7 sex scenes in the room.
There's like 7 sex scenes. There's just lots of shots of San Francisco. You actually think about how long that movie is and how little of the movie is in it.
I
Uh,
miss I miss the original cut of the room, which like clearly there was some sort of like music rights thing because on those sex scenes it used to have a song that was like "You are my rose, you are my rose,"
is that
and
not
now it's
on?
something different, and like
Oh, weird.
it highly annoys me.
Oh,
Like I think
hey,
I
I
do have
still
the version with the "You are my rose," but
I
like
still have that DVD,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm like, why did whatever?
That the
Okay.
guy probably didn't want to be associated with it
I
anymore.
think it was a woman, but yeah. Um,
No, it is a guy. It's
the "You
oh
Are My Rose"
yeah
person is a
yeah
guy.
yeah
Oh, and in my head, it's a woman.
yeah. No,
Whatever. We're a post-gender society. It's fine. Oh yeah, and then there's this scene where Grace is like tied to the bed, and the bed and the headboard and footboard are like rotating, so it's stretching her.
No, it's yeah, when she goes into the secret room, like suddenly she goes from being this is one of the weird Kreskin moments where it starts with it's him like kind of like easing her and putting her to sleep. He's just suddenly in the room and like, maybe it's just his spirits in the room, whatever the logic of that's supposed to be. And he like eases her down. And then I think it cuts to him doing his bit, and then it cuts back to her, and instead she's being like quartered,
Right.
basically.
But it
Yeah.
looks so satisfying. Like as someone with a lot of back pain, I'm like that. I remember there was a tweet that was like, I bet those like stretching racks felt real good for like half a second. You know what I mean? But like, I was like, I need one of those beds because, I've got spinal issues.
Right,
And I was
right.
just like, I don't know, that seems okay. Um, yeah, the stretcher, it says like, uh, luck walking around. Oh, and they got these like Romero zombies, like
Yes. No,
just
it's so Night
very,
of the Living Dead.
yeah,
It's
it's
there's
very
no
Romero. Like,
it, I mean that's the other thing is that it's the two distinct, like really noticeable visual references he makes are the Romero zombies outside. They're
yeah.
very Romero zombies. They're not Fulci. They're
They
not
even have the
the
cutaway to the
Argento.
one eating, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is like taken right from Night of the Living Dead.
It's 100% Night of the Living Dead. And the other one is having Felissa Rose do her scream,
Yes,
which is
yeah,
just a bit like it's like maybe if people didn't know, but anyone who's watching this movie knows exactly what you're referencing.
yeah.
And not that that's bad. Everyone references every other work, but it's a little bit like, oh, it's Felissa Rose doing her scream.
Dude, God bless her, because she'll do anything.
Oh yeah, no,
I
I mean
feel, I feel like if I called her
she was
right
great
now,
for the 2 seconds she was in this.
it
Yeah.
was like, will you be on this podcast? She'd be like, sure. Like, what's the link? Yeah, there's the zombies. And it's very funny because we do cut back to like back in this mental institution and Luck throwing up more blood. And then Felissa Rose is there and she's the art therapist of this like mental institution. And he's like got this really shitty drawing that
Yes.
Grace had earlier in the movie of the Reverend, right, the father.
This is your
And
father.
yeah, and she's like, but the girl down the hall gave me the same exact picture. Did she give this to you? And he's like, no. And then it's like, okay, that's it. That's it. And then Felissa Rose screams.
There you go. I if I okay, this is my best attempt at seeing if we can parse out what this movie is plot wise. Maybe is going character by character, unless that's too much. I don't know. I don't understand how people are going to listen to this and understand what the fuck we're doing. We can't describe.
It doesn't matter because we watched this movie. I myself have seen this movie upwards of 10 times by
This is
now,
this is
and I
the
still
time I
can't
watched it
tell you.
today. Yeah, this is my
I
third
still
time
can't tell
watching it
you.
was today, and like I think I can parse out if you look at every individual character's journey, like what's Grace's journey? Like what is her story, divorced from all the rest of this?
I don't know because see, that's the thing. Like her parents are like injecting her with stuff. They're keeping her drugged. So it's like, but at the beginning, she's just hanging up Christmas lights like a normal person would do. So it's like, I don't know what her story is.
Right.
It seems to me like her family has been replaced by demonic entities. Right?
Right.
Like that's to me what makes the most sense. But I couldn't tell you if that's right or not.
That's and I don't know that there's an answer. I then again I don't think Dante Tomaselli is quite like David Lynch in his like,
There's an answer there, but I'm not going to tell
but
you.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you, but like as best as I can piece together and let's just I'm going to be open to be this is me being incredibly generous. Um I think for her she might actually be going through some drug rehab thing, or she might just be like a kid who doesn't want to be as doped up as she is by her parents. And so she simultaneously loves her parents, but is constantly making them demons inside of her head. And then she like loves her grandfather because he's like a better religious figure than her dad or something, but also all religion is torture or something like that, which is why he simultaneously the better preacher and also the devil goat, I guess. I'm just
You're
free
being
associating.
very
I'm being
charitable to this movie.
very, very charitable because he cared. He
I don't
cared
even think
enough.
I don't even think that it's saying anything
It's
specific about
no.
religion because it doesn't know what it's saying. Like
Yeah.
you
All the
could
imagery's there.
you
It
could make a case for and clearly he was raised Catholic, which I understand, and the Catholic stuff that we do, I'm gonna be real, the Catholics have the best imagery. Like, let's be real
right.
about it all. But I don't think he's saying anything because it's you could be like, oh, all religion is like a prison or something, but then it's also like there's these like weird mentalist moments that have nothing to do like that's not a thing
No,
in religion. Like that's just
it's not a
that's
thing in
that's a
religion.
post-religion new age, like like that's outside of religion into like new age spiritualism or whatever. But like I don't know, like I don't think it's that at all. And I
Hmm.
don't think he's saying anything specific about drugs. I think maybe he wants to be, but it's just like
Well, I mean, that scene where they're just like doing drugs in the van is,
the kid smoking the pot that disappears, like it's very clearly not really smoking this pot. Like he puts it
yeah.
up to his mouth and then just like immediately takes it away. And I don't smoke. I've never been able to handle it. I
Oh, I see.
very much do not like weed in any sense. But like I know how to smoke it. And I'm like, this guy is just not selling this at all. Like
I do love his little. I want his little pipe so bad. I
it's so
want
interesting. And then they have that.
the little pipe that's the van.
Yeah, they have a
Yeah.
van. Like that kid has like a weird pipe that looks hobbled together by stuff he
Right.
found in like a shop room like at high school. But like then they have the one that looks like a van, and I did think that that was very cool. Like that
Right.
was fun. Yeah. But like I don't even think he's saying anything other than like drugs are not great because like he doesn't even have a good handle on what drugs are.
But he those are clearly like pieces his friends lent to the movie. Like there's something you don't just like go to a shop and buy that little van piece.
Oh yeah,
Like
somebody made that. Yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah.
made that.
I want to see what this kid who played Luck, I'm gonna see in real time if he was ever in anything else. And I will say too, because I'm pretty sure that this is technically like supposed to be a sequel to Dante Tomaselli's first movie, Desecration,
Mm,
which I did not see, nor am I willing to.
I
I feel like
I
this
would do all
is
of it. I'd watch every single one.
all right. Let's see. Okay, so that guy Luck was the lead role of Bobby in Desecration. Maybe I
Mm,
would watch it. Maybe I would. Then let's see. He was also in Satan's Playground by Dante Tomaselli, also with Felissa Rose.
mm.
And he was in an episode of Agents of the Shield.
Oh, that's the Marvel show.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then that's pretty much it. In fact, Agents of the Shield is not even listed in his filmography on Wikipedia, even though the paragraph before it mentions
Says
it.
that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But but yeah, so like I don't know. Like not a very none of these people are convincing actors except Felissa Rose. And I guess I would say like Kreskin probably is too. But
I mean, Kreskin's
he's just doing his
doing
thing.
he's doing his best with like the lines that he's given, and I actually kind of believe him as this like grandfatherly preacher. Just the problem is the mentalist stuff itself being on screen like doesn't it just doesn't mesh with the rest of it. It's like too rehearsed in the wrong way.
You know what? Maybe I will watch Desecration because here's the plot. A
Okay.
16-year okay, it's first it says that Tomaselli heavily utilized dream sequences to impart the story.
Mm.
So we got that. A 16-year-old teen named Bobby is emotionally damaged by the early death of his mother. After accidentally causing a nun's death, he unleashes a chain of supernatural events that lead him to the pits of hell.
Gotcha. That
I'm into
sounds.
it.
I'm down. I by the way, it's just because clearly Catholic imagery, but this movie specifically, only so much of that imagery is Catholic. It's very much like preachers,
Yeah.
not, and it's that way that like what is the dad preacher? like half crosses his chest and then just kind of like brushes his hand
Yeah, I thought
off
that
of
was
him at
supposed to
the
be some
end.
sort of winky, like satanic, like, because it's
Right,
not,
right.
because you're supposed to go like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. So
But
it's
it,
like top, bottom, left, right. And he does it in like a weird way where it
yeah,
ends on the bottom and then like, and I thought that looked kind of cool, but I was
that
like,
that
but
did, yeah.
it very much like looked cool, but also was like, maybe this guy just doesn't know how to make the sign of the cross.
I no, that seemed at least purposeful enough because
Yeah.
of how like kind of theatrical it was.
Yeah.
How he's just dead looking into the camera
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and does the bit.
Yeah, but
But
but like
it's all
preachers, like
preacher
we don't
imagery.
have
Yeah.
preachers. That's
Right.
evangelicals, man. That's a
And so
whole other
is
thing.
is this a Catholic interpretation of evangelicals? I
I
wonder maybe a little bit.
guess. Like it feels more like someone who was raised Catholic didn't absorb any of that. Like, what does raised Catholic mean? Like, because I
Mm,
was raised Catholic, meaning I went to Catholic school and I was in church every week, plus extra time at school, and went through, like First
yeah.
Communion, went through confirmation. Like I can tell
No,
you, started going back to church and immediately knew it by heart. Like it was under all this gray matter, right? But like to me, this seems like a guy who was raised Catholic in the sense that like maybe his parents were Catholic and just like went to church on Christmas. Because like
right.
everything he's trying to impart is not Catholic. It's
Right.
really more like weird Southern Baptist or like evangelical or like we don't have preachers like that. You know what I mean? We have priests
Right.
and it's
I
cooler.
but yeah, it seems like I think that's part of why I'm trying to be jealous or jealous, but
Jealous.
jealous, jealous. Part of why I'm trying to be generous with it,
Generous.
it isn't just that I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because of how much effort he put into this, but it also has a lot to do with I'm trying to figure out what he's done wrong that it doesn't work as well. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's not he somehow is trying to impart some degree of ideas and imagery. He clearly put so much of this with intention, but something about the way he's done it is not actually really giving the audience the space to interpret it in a way that's like meaningful. It's
Right.
almost too suffice with his own meaning and not loose enough in the right way. Something is a little too close to the chest, a little too tight here. Um, he's he's so busy putting all of this imagery there and not giving enough of a lead for people to pick up on it and take it on their own and go with it. And it just ends up being stressful and kind of annoying, is the
It's
best way I can
yeah.
put it.
It's
Yeah.
weird because it almost needs more to make
Mm.
sense, but in the same sense almost needs less.
It
And
needs to
it would
be
make more
reoriented.
sense
Yeah.
to have less to hold on to because then you can just be like, oh, this is like a weird dream logic and you can let go a little. But like there's too much real stuff in there for me to be able to let go. Like I'm like, why, like what's happening with these parents? Why is she putting up the Christmas lights? Like what's happening with this like school rehab and this van? Like there's too
Be
much. There's too much.
reorienting this stuff in a way where the edit actually would help us with that a little bit, maybe even doing better visual matches
Yeah.
like somewhere.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
even just let's pick a theme because are you going demonic like almost like quasi-religious or are you
right.
going zombies? Because those are two different things.
Right, but also I'm gonna throw it out there after just watching The Beyond. The Beyond does have sudden zombies at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but I mean I feel like but see that's the thing though. Like I feel like that is kind of like a character trademark of that director.
But that is a
Right.
Fulci thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you
You're
have
gonna get
him.
demon zombies
Yeah,
eventually.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, no matter what. But then you have Tomaselli saying like, "No, I never watched any Fulci stuff," which I don't think I believe. But
I don't the melting doll is such a Fulci
yeah,
image that I can't buy that
I, I,
entirely.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if maybe like as he was like making these movies, people are like, "Oh, clearly he's drawing
Yeah.
inspiration from Romero," and he was like, "I don't want people to
Yeah.
clock that I'm doing that, so I'm gonna say no. But I don't believe for a second he didn't see a Fulci movie.
Yeah. No,
And
it's too much like
yeah,
Fulci and Bava and
you're not
Argento
stumbling
of
upon
yeah.
that. Like, and it's just funny too, because like, I mean, I think my kid saw The Beyond when he was like 8.
Mm. Oh,
So I was
Jesus
like, and
Christ.
like he's not like a big horror guy. You know what I mean? He just grew up with like people raising him in a very horror oriented household. So like I'm supposed to believe this guy who's like a huge horror fan, like didn't see a Fulci movie until his mid-20s. Like, no.
Yeah, no.
I was terrified of all horror movies until I was 15 years old.
Mm.
I didn't get into horror until like way late. And even I saw all those movies.
Yeah, and well, and he talks specifically because I watched the little YouTube part. I didn't finish the little YouTube video I sent you where he's talking about.
I did not watch it. I meant
It's
to, and I will after this, and that's
but
not helpful for this podcast. But I did not watch it because I was like, look,
no, no, but
I
it
need like a few hours.
of not thinking about Dante Tomaselli, maybe. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
because he mentioned something about like his dad being either removing all the horror posters from his room or being upset about all the horror posters in his room. If he didn't watch those things, he at the very least had to have watched things that were clearly inspired by those things.
yes,
But there's so much shared imagery. There's so much like if he didn't watch those things, what he's doing feels so clearly like an attempt at like Argento in his weirder period.
yeah.
Like when he stops, when he like fully moves away from making giallo movies almost entirely and is just making his kind of like dream logic things. But those things are even actually quite well written, which people don't give enough credit to for all the like, you know, just kind of bizarre stuff that's happening in Inferno. Like there is something you're supposed to follow, and it's
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. And the same cannot be said for horror
I
2002.
No, he wants something. He's reaching for something so hard, and he doesn't have whatever tool set is required. And it seems like he was looking in the wrong direction and needed to find something simpler.
Yeah.
What he's made is simply like has too many moving parts and is too
Yeah.
complicated. And that was the nicety of watching like earlier surrealist stuff and experimental stuff to be like, these guys are making very simple movies. They're not trying to overwhelm you.
Here's a bit of a short film that this kind of reminds me of, but does this sort of stuff way better.
Mm.
And uh I watch this movie like 4 times a year and have for the last 20 years, right? It's on YouTube. It's called Little Farm. It's a
Mm.
short film by Calvin Reeder.
Okay.
If listeners do not know who that is, he was in the first VHS movie. He's acted and directed quite a few things. He was in a sort of cult uh uh public access show in Seattle called Jerk Beast, which is how I first uh stumbled upon him as a person. But he made this short film called Little Farm,
Mm.
and I believe it was at Sundance that year. But very very odd little thing, and I don't want to give too much of it away, but it has very much like inspired a lot of my own sort of like fiction writing, and there are like little sort of vibes from horror that when I was watching it I wrote Little Farm like on it because I wanted to mention it. It's very interesting. It's very strange. It has a great soundtrack. And you can watch it on YouTube. But he was actually at was it last year or 2 years ago now that they did Cockfighter for Cinematic
Mm.
Void. And he was outside after, and I was like,
Oh
I'm
wow.
sorry. And I was like, are you Calvin Reeder? And he was like, I am. And I was like, I want you to know that I watch Little Farm like 4 or 5 times a year. And he was like, really? Because like this is a thing. Like he probably hasn't thought about it in
Yeah.
like 15 years, right? But I'm like, yeah, anytime you see it go up on YouTube, that's probably me. And I just talked about it for a little while with him. Basically, I just said the same stuff I just said, uh but this like that kind of dreamlike weird vibe and this like building that is probably like inherently evil and is affecting the people living in it, like that sort of thing. Like it just reminds me of that. And I think people should watch that short film.
Yeah. No,
If yeah,
I'm very down. I just brought it up right now.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I highly enjoyed it, and it definitely, inspired a lot of my own sort of creative stuff. But and it does it, it does a lot with its small runtime, whereas this movie does too much with its very short runtime and still not enough somehow.
No,
So,
I think it would have felt bigger and more complete with less stuff in it.
yes.
And I think having so many, I know the van stuff is what you enjoy, but the van stuff is part of what the biggest problem with the movie
Oh
is
yeah.
just like how much time they just spend like just showing them just
Well,
eating
here's the thing,
mushrooms
like
like they're
the
fucking
van
candy. Yeah.
stuff it's not, I wouldn't say it's what I enjoy.
Oh yeah.
I would say that it's the only thing my brain can hold on to,
That you
where
memorize. Yeah.
afterwards I can say, oh, this happened in that movie.
I
Because I've
rewatched
seen
this.
this movie
Yeah.
a million zillion times and I fucking own it, right? Which is like more than I can say for probably most people. And anything after they get to the house is just gone from my memory every single time.
I had a similar problem. I watched this 3 days ago, and I know it was because the other movies push stuff out of my head, but it's like, why did I have to review the entire movie this morning to remember what
Yeah, it's
happened? You
gone.
had
It's
to
just
do that
gone.
this morning. Both of us, right before we started recording, had to watch a movie we have both seen because we couldn't place anything.
I'm gonna read you the stuff on the box.
Okay.
A living nightmare in hell caught on film. Cult Cuts magazine. Never heard of them.
Mm,
An all-out assault on the senses. Firelight shocks. No idea what that is. The visuals are spectacular, full of atmosphere and imagination. Steve Pachalski shock cinema. Okay. Deeply artistic, beautifully nightmarish, reminiscent of the melodramatic, vibrant expressionism of Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci. Gary
what?
Butler, Rue Morgue. A great Halloween movie. Film threat.
I agree with that.
I mean, yeah, it is. It is a great Halloween
It
movie.
is a great
That's why
Halloween
I
movie.
own it. But god damn. But see, the thing is, like, after all of this yapping, I don't want people to come away from this with Colleen hates that movie, because quite the opposite.
You keep showing it to
I
people.
am genuinely obsessed with this movie. It doesn't work on almost any level.
Mm.
It is shockingly forgettable. And I bought it 20, like almost 20 years after I first watched it. Like, well, actually, I've owned it for a while, so probably like 15 years after I first watched it.
Okay.
Right. And I just there's just something about it that it's like, no, you have this must be what early adapters of The Room felt like. Like, no, you just have to see it, and then
Oh,
it makes more sense.
absolutely. I have more than a few movies that are like this where I just keep trying to get people to sit down with
Yeah.
them. Luckily, those are movies, they're often not as like rare or as weird as this, but like the fact that like Cool as Ice has picked up the traction where like I
Mm.
finally have people in my life I can talk with about that movie or Gleaming is the reason I brought up Gleaming the Cube. That's a great example of just like here's this movie you didn't hear of where Tony Hawk has like he's not a big part of the movie, but he
But
has
he's there.
lines. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Christian Slater skateboards, but not really. Yeah.
This is the third episode of this podcast, and it
Yeah.
is the second episode that has brought up Cool as Ice.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was the other context of
The
Cool
Hug a
as
Bunch
Ice?
movie had some
Okay.
people working on it where it was like, oh, like that guy worked for, I forget what it is right now, but like Hub, my guest for the last one was like, oh, this guy was actually like the art director for like some big name movie, like Indiana Jones or some shit. And I was like, is this like Cool as Ice, where it's like the cinematographer was the Schindler's List cinematographer? So that's why Cool as Ice is so beautiful looking.
Yeah.
But it's just such a, and I am hoping to cover that on this show because I
Oh,
do
it's necessary.
genuinely love Cool as Ice, and there is nothing more in my life of disappointments that I am disappointed I was sick and couldn't go see it in
I
December.
No, if it ever happens again, I feel like
Yeah.
that's one that if it played at Vidiots just talking about local cinema scene stuff, that would be a great room. That would be a great
Yeah.
audience.
I
Yeah,
genuinely, I mean, I did watch it for Mystery Science Theater in May.
right.
But because they did do a riff tracks of it, but I genuinely like was and the thing is too, I had pneumonia. That's for anyone listening. I had pneumonia in December, and I was better by then, but I was still like plagued with like fatigue, and I figured I probably could sit through the movie, but the act of driving there and driving back was like insurmountable to me. Like
Yeah, no.
I don't even think I would have been able to handle someone driving me there. So unfortunately,
Is
I had to
isn't
miss
it?
it.
It says so much about our lives that like we're really upset that we weren't able to go like I the amount of like not good movies that like have played in theaters around town where I was so sad I
Yeah,
couldn't be
you're like,
there.
shit, I can't be there for like, I don't know. I can't think of a funny one. Well, like Tammy and the T-Rex.
No, missing a Tammy and the T-Rex screening would break my heart. It's Tammy
Yeah.
and the T-Rex. I had to miss a Tammy and the T-Rex screening
Was it
when
the Cinematic Void one?
no, it was the oh, was it? No. I was there for the Cinematic Void one. It was when Beyond Fest showed it in like 2019.
Oh,
I had bought a ticket for it and then I had a work shift.
shit.
It was when they first scheduled me at ABC back when I was working at ABC.
You're like, I
Great.
can't
It was
work that
great.
day.
No, it was graveyard shift. It was just like I'm going to have to show up to work like
Yeah.
as the movie is wrapping like during the Q&A.
Ah,
And
that sucks.
yeah, that was my exact like heartbreak scenario. So
So you
I
get it.
understand that completely. Yeah. No,
I,
I oh sorry, say what you're
I
saying.
think they should let me screen this movie.
I think so. I think uh oh, this would be a perfect micro cinema one. There's something about like this should be like a small room,
That small room at Video, it's like,
the
yeah,
small
they
room at
should let me do
Vidiots.
that.
It would be a spectacular spot for this.
This is, I said the same about Teenage Bonnie and Klepto Clyde. Someone needs to let me share this with the masses.
I well, okay. What is I? We've talked a lot about what doesn't work, but what are some things about this movie that you're actually like kind of impressed with,
Well,
or
I had said like the scary melting doll, even
that's
like
great.
the even the pumpkin thing, like it's very silly, but like
It works, yeah.
if you contextualize that with like I'm tripping on shrooms, like
And
that
this
would
is what
be
you see.
really upsetting to see. The jump scare under the bed is fun. The painting is fun. I'd say even the goat's fun.
The goat is really fun, and the goat at least follows into a tradition of again, there's no way he didn't watch Argento before this of like
Yeah.
the cats and Inferno, like
Yeah.
this whole like repeated animal imagery, like
Right.
having a lot of great
I love
precedent.
that it's
Yeah.
clearly Christmas and they don't mention Christmas at all except for her hanging the lights, but I do love that it's Christmas because I love Christmas, but also it's very clear that they could only shoot like around this time and somebody was like you can use my house, but I'm not taking the Christmas stuff down.
Right. There we
Like
go.
it's like it was probably like December 3rd, like it was probably like December
Like just after
20th.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
like
and
yeah,
they were like,
that
look,
period. Yeah.
yeah, like Christmas is in 5 days.
Yeah.
So get
As
in,
long
get
as
out.
yeah, as long as you're out of the house by the time my relatives show up,
Right,
we're good.
exactly. I love the idea of the goat leaving and then like grandma coming in. I'm here for Christmas. It's so funny to me. But
How much do you have to trust someone to let them bring a goat
bring
into
a
the
goat
house?
into the house. I know. I know that there's like a making of I think on on this DVD.
Oh,
Let's
oh
see
man.
behind the scenes footage.
Oh, I would love to see
Rare.
that.
Oh, there's some Kreskin stuff. Yeah, I've never actually watched like the special features on this. Uh again, I bought this under duress, but I am glad I bought it.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting people, you know, bootleg movies, but also
No, no, some movies are legitimately so difficult to find
yeah,
that
this is not
there's no
streaming anywhere.
recourse.
It's not on Tubi. It's not like anything like that. And it was like I want to watch it though. So
Yeah. Well,
like
this
gun to my
is
head, I had to buy it. So
this is a perpetual problem like that comes up now that we could talk endlessly about like exactly what the problem with everyone relying so heavily on streaming is, but a lot of that has to do with you just forget that like rights for things are a
Yeah.
lot more shifty than we ever realized. And when stuff was coming out on physical media, like you never thought about like, oh, a book went out of print because you
Yeah.
could go to a used bookstore and just get a copy of the book.
Right.
Luckily, bookstores still exist, and to a point, used media places still exist
For now.
for now. But you forget that it's just like, right, some movies don't make the transition out of VHS, like Elves, a movie you have. That's one that you've actually cursed me with, I think. I love that movie, but
Well,
that
I already have like a list for the Christmas episodes of the show, so Elves is definitely on there.
Elves is on there,
But
but
I
it's
know
like,
that the rights are just completely
yeah, like
like
they're just some movies are never going to make it to the
well,
next
Teenage Bunny
stage.
and Klepto never got anything other than the VHS. So,
Yeah, and
and I
how
am single-handedly keeping that movie alive.
right, and there's plenty of movies. There's plenty of movies where like because music rights
Yeah.
changed, like you can get the movie in a current form, but it's not going to have the right soundtrack.
Uh,
Uh,
Even shows like The State and stuff when the State
though
box set came
all the
out and it was
almost
all
all the
different.
MTV stuff,
Yeah.
Daria, The State, yeah.
Skins was like that.
Mhm.
But like even looking for Mr. Goodbar got held up for so long. And I recently learned that it was just the Frank Sinatra song.
Jesus,
It
really?
was just that one song keeping it from transitioning outward, and then they finally like figured it out, I guess, because you can buy the 4K now, which I do own, of course, but like
Yeah,
but yeah, so like I mean, I'm not thinking, and I said this in the first episode, the Teenage Bonnie and Klepto Clyde episode. I was like, I am not someone who like I said I feel very Malibu Stacy about like don't ask me, I'm just a girl, because I'm like I don't know about the
yeah,
fucking rights to the elves. Like why would I know that? Right?
right.
But like it is something I never think of. So I'm like, why can't I just screen elves for everybody? And people are like, because that's just like not a thing you can do. But I'm like, but why?
It
And
sucks.
so like I am sort of like learning a little bit more about that through this show
Yeah.
because
Well,
people come on and tell me.
this is a problem with some TV movies and stuff like
Yeah,
that, that like you can't screen a lot of those in theaters because of how the rights for that are kind of funny.
right. No,
Um,
I know my first name is Steven happening at the fucking local Cinematheque.
right.
So,
Yeah, no, but this is a good example of like, luckily you have the DVD, luckily you've
yeah.
backed it up so that we can have access to
Yeah.
it. I, I mean, can you even buy this movie from Dante Tomaselli? You said you had to get it on eBay. There's
I got
no,
it on eBay. Yeah.
and that sucks that it's just like, it might just be too expensive for him to reproduce copies of the movie to
Can
sell,
you
even.
imagine me contacting Dante Tomaselli and being like, hey, I'm obsessed with this horrible movie you made. It's awful. It sucks because I wouldn't be able to hold back. I'd be like, this fucking sucks. What were you even thinking? I know you watched a Fulci movie. I can't
Right.
prove it, but I know. But can you sell me the movie, please? Like, no,
And
I'll just go to eBay. It might have been his eBay account. Who knows?
okay,
Maybe he's
maybe.
sitting on like
Yeah.
400 of these. But you
Oh,
know what, though?
like all
Like
the
it's
what
just
is
a
it?
stack of them.
Like all the records in inside Llewyn Davis, just
Yeah.
like hiding under the
Or like that guy.
table.
This
Yeah.
is like I mentioned this guy a lot, but that guy who has like thousands of Titanic VHSs, like that's his
Oh,
thing. Like maybe Dante Tomaselli, like these are just lining his walls.
I mean, I'm having a bit of a so this is an upcoming thing, but my friend's dad. We've talked about this before, if you remember. It was my friend's dad like wrote a movie and I think produced it like also in the early 2000s. Um, and he's finally I don't 100% know when. I wish I could say on the podcast because it's not uh uh nailed down yet, but they're going to be screening it
That's
at
right.
the micro cinema at Vidiot's. And you know, my buddy, I did have to talk to his dad about like, look, the audience that's going to show up for this isn't going to look at this necessarily as this like great movie that you made because it is kind of a weird rough edges like thing and it doesn't all work and the acting's not particularly great, but it
Right.
is interesting and people will like it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's unfortunate, but like the audience a movie finds isn't necessarily going to be the one that's intended.
Right.
Hopefully, it's a case where you can kind of roll with the punches of what something's become. But sometimes I can imagine the heart breaks a little,
Yeah.
uh,
No, I definitely
you know,
can too. It's
yeah,
hard to make something and then like put it out in the world. And I've definitely adopted a like what I do is for me, and if other people like it, that's great. Like I have this book
Yeah.
I'm editing, like I've been editing forever, and like when it if it eventually comes out, like when it does, like people have been like, aren't you? Because it's very graphic and it's very like violent and
Yeah,
sexual.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like, well, like, what if people have thoughts on that? I'm like, that's their like that's
Right.
their right to
Well,
have. You know what I
it's
mean?
the
I wrote it
fear.
for me. It was
Right.
important to me. There is, of course, the fear of putting it out in the world, but I think the healthier attitude is I wrote it, I love it, and if somebody else loves it too, then that's great. But I didn't write
Right.
it for them. You know what
Right.
I mean? So
No, it's well, I think of I mean if I can think of a book example, I think about like the book Morrissey wrote. I don't know if he wrote multiple, but
no. Oh yeah, I don't know.
there was this fiction novel novella that Morrissey wrote, and when it went out into the world, people just like piled onto it. But it's like, okay, that's Morrissey. One, he's a jackass. Two, like he's made enough iconic art
Yeah,
in
he's
his
very
life
yeah,
that
yeah.
it's just like we can all take him down a peg for writing a book that wasn't good. But like
Right.
I don't know, maybe that was a meaningful piece to him. Maybe it was just a vanity project.
I feel like he
I
doesn't give a shit either way. And that's like the
right
healthier way to be, I think. Like,
right. But again, he's awful, so that's
yeah,
I'm
whatever.
not too
Piece of
worried about his
shit.
feelings.
Right.
But yeah, no, I worry about stuff like that because
Yeah, of course.
I've been thinking about like I think so much about a movie like Rhinestone that's so important to me, which it's like that movie isn't good. That movie
Yeah.
is a distinct failure in like every category you could think of, and yet it is endlessly entertaining to me. But like my dream would be Dolly Parton actually really talking about this movie in public and
Yeah.
like my God, if she could see an audience that would lose her shit. Not that I don't know that there's enough people in the world who
I
remember
like
Rhinestone.
Rhinestone.
I know
I'll
you
be
do.
there.
Yeah. But that's what I mean is that it's just like, oh, could Stallone could not show up and have fun with that. I don't think he could have the sense of distance from it since he's the reason that movie got fucked up.
Right, right. But
But
she, I feel like, would have a good time with
I
it.
would hope that Dolly could
Yeah.
have fun with an audience that developed around that movie for maybe not being what it was supposed to
I
be.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. So, any final thoughts on horror
I
2002 by Dante
I
Tomaselli?
I I think that more than anything, this is such, even the praise for it that exists that was contemporary to the time, um, this is such a product of its time.
Yeah.
This is such a like I mean, it was shot on film. You can kind of see that it's shot on film and not on video. But this is such a like shot on film, finished on video at home, like real homemade access to movie making that was such a part of the very late 90s and the early 2000s in a way that's like we're actually seeing an artist who's trying to wrestle with something and make it, and it just like doesn't work. He really tried. There's actually some really incredible shots, like that shot where the mom is like the whole thing with the staircase where it follows through to the door and then
Yeah. Yeah.
it drops down. That's amazing. I You can see that there's something good happening that this relates to filmmaking being democratized in the early 2000s. And as an artifact, I really appreciate it.
Right.
What I can say is that this is exactly also for the same reasons the case of like this movie could have disappeared entirely.
Yeah. So, you're welcome, Dante.
Yeah.
I've been I am horror by Dante. I carry the flame. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
am the only person carrying the horror 2002 flame.
Like
Me and you, yeah, you too.
yeah.
But I roped you into it. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
But it's in some ways this movie reminds me a lot of like Book of Shadows
yeah, I could see
where it's
that. Yeah,
where it not because Book of Shadows is also a movie it's just like this doesn't entirely work. That's not it really the
but it
director's
has
fault.
its fans.
It's studio interference. It has its fans.
Yeah,
I'm one of those.
I'm not,
I
but that's
That's
okay.
completely understandable. It's not good, but this has a similar like the only reason that has enough of a fan base is because it's associated with Blair Witch because it
Right.
was something of a major studio release, but like that doesn't have a current Blu-ray release.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
outside of deep horror fans that doesn't really have a place in the conversation in a similar way in a much more low budget scale like these movies feel like a part of the same thing. They feel like a
Right.
part of the same generation of filmmaking. And I kind of think if people go into this, embrace what it is for the time, that carries a little bit more meaning into
Yeah.
appreciating people were really trying. We sort of, this is right around the time we're getting a little burned out of slashers, and before we had fully moved into the like ultra gritty like torture porn
Right,
era,
right. Yeah.
like
The Saws and like this predates Saw by a
yeah,
few years. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So we're happening right around there.
right.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell people how to watch this movie because last I checked, it's still not streaming anywhere. I have the DVD, obviously. I have it uploaded onto my Plex as well, but like I'm not giving my Plex information out to like everybody. So figure it out, I guess. I am not your
Find it on
mom.
eBay.
You're gonna
Punch a
have
guy
to figure
for
it
it.
out. Yeah, you're gonna have to spend $12 on it or whatever. But I do think it's worth watching just to like be in on the conversation of this is a movie that I genuinely don't know many people have seen at all. Like I couldn't name you more than 5 people who have seen it. And you, me, Fritz, Kevin, and
Yeah.
Dante Tomaselli are those 5 people. So
At the
like
yeah, at the very least, if you're a Kreskin fan,
yeah, why not?
this might be worth tracking
So
down.
anyway, so join me next time. Thank you, Dan, for coming on. I appreciated it. I appreciated all your insights.
Thank you very much.
I know we do talk about this movie a lot in real life,
Yeah.
so I appreciate you coming on. Join me next time, where I will have Dustin Meadows on the show to talk about your favorite and mine, Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to
Jesus
College.
Christ.
I'm just like balls to the wall with this podcast. I'm getting all the
Another movie that you are, I mean, you and Dustin luckily together, but the both of you are like the people I
yeah,
know
the
talking
people.
about it.
Yeah, I know Elric Kane mentioned it on his podcast back in October after the New Bev marathon where he was like, "Oh, there's a whole group of people like rallying around Ghoulies 3." And my friend was like, "I think they're talking about you on this podcast." I'm like, "That is me." So anyway, but other than that, thank you so much, Dan. Anything you want to plug before you go?
I don't know. I got nothing to plug. I'm
That's
just
okay.
figuring shit out and watching too many movies,
That's
and
okay.
you know what? I can plug another movie that I think is uh kind of underseen in a way that's not good and might bore the shit out of people, but
That's okay.
reconsider Catherine Bigelow's The Weight of Water. I watched it.
Okay.
It's not good, but it's a really interesting example of how a very meaningful piece of art made by a person who really cared about it just like doesn't hit.
Okay.
So
You know, I've never seen that, so
I'm literally
I'll watch that.
recommending the same kind of problem we just experienced with
That's
this
okay.
movie.
That's
But
important, I think.
but
So,
I think it's important not to forget that she made that movie and nobody has ever talked about it.
right. Yeah, I have not seen that, so I will check that out. But anyway,
Yeah.
I have been your host, Kolleen Carney Hoepfner, Dan Davis, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.